we did the show right after the game on Sunday and said we didn't think he looked very good. And several people either tweeted at us or DM'd at us, or I don't know about you, John, but we don't always reply to everything, but we do read the YouTube comments often. And I on that particular video, I made the point to watch the YouTube comments just to see, like, what did other people think? Like, let's get a bunch of eyeballs on this. And there were many people that thought Trey Lance looked okay. So we watched the game. I told a couple people that messaged us, like, hey, I'm rewatching this game with an open mind. Let's just see what it was. As someone who said they should draft Trey Lance, I watched it a second time. I didn't think he looked good the second time, John. I thought the same thing after the second time that I did the first time. Maybe the additional thought I had the second time was I thought his line let him down in a few spots in terms of protection. But again, I thought he took a long time to make decisions. I'm not John Beck here, but it took a lot of time for the ball to get out of his hands. He had a couple balls batted down. I didn't think it was great, but what did you think?
Yeah, let me preface this by saying that it is a very, very difficult spot to come in at halftime when you're not expecting to as a rookie quarterback. Like, it's a unique thing. I would judge this differently had he started the game and looked like he did. But in the vacuum, when you're just evaluating the play, it was pretty alarming. I saw two things really jumped out to me. First and foremost, I was just going to evaluate him like a draft prospect. What would you think about the physical attributes? His best attribute by far is mobility, right? Moving around, being able to scramble around. And that's a good thing. I am pro mobility. His release was fucking really long. Like, it is a full-on loop. And listen, maybe they've worked on it. It's like a golf swing. You can try and try and try, but when the pressure comes, and they say about this in all sports, right? When pressure comes, you resort back to muscle memory. It's why if you want to change muscle memory, any pro athlete will tell you, like, it takes years and years to break out of the habit. Unless you're going to be like Tiger Woods and probably practice or Peyton Manning and just put like 10,000 hours into like a year, right, to change something. But your muscle memory kicks back up, and his release was really loopy. And when you have a loopy release, that means it takes a little while to get out of your hand. Yeah. Like Jimmy's greatest attribute is boom, it's out of his hand. Boom.
My favorite thing about him.
Yeah, I mean, if you could put that release on Trey, you'd have something. The other thing was they'd run routes and he would just stand there. It's like, bro, and again, this is where I struggle. It's his first time ever in an NFL game. They're playing Seattle, who I know at the time they're 1-2 in this tie game. It was a team that every human alive picked to make the playoffs, right? I mean, it's Pete Carroll, it's the uniforms. Like, that is not showing up.
Momentum's against you.
Yeah, you're not showing up and playing, the University of Arizona. So it's challenging.
Sixth in the Pac-12 in defense, by the way.
No, in the South or overall?
Overall.
Okay,
They've held opponents, John, to under 400 yards 3 times this year, which they'd only done once in the previous 17 games.
Well, Teddy Bruschi, not walking back through that door.
Now they're only facing 22 pass attempts a game because people are running down their throats, but the glass half full.
So he wasn't seeing anything. You can't hold the ball that long. But to me, the loopy release and the balls getting batted down, I get if I see Kyler Murray or Russell Wilson have the occasional Baker Mayfield. I think all those teams can live with it. It's like, smaller quarterback, one batted ball down a game, like whatever. We live with the good from, Kyler Murray. And I'd have to really go back and do like a study. It doesn't feel watching him. He scrambles out of the pocket a lot of times to see his lanes. It's not a big deal. But Russell Wilson, whatever. Like, when I have a quarterback that's 6'3 plus that gets ball batted down, that's a little concerning. But to me, the crazier thing was it just looked like everything was moving at warp speed. First time ever in the game. Understandable. But the loopy release, like, that is going to be something. And there was one play he threw, like, it was probably like a deep comeback or maybe like an over route, probably 15, 20 yards down past the line of scrimmage, and he's, 7 yards back. So it's a long throw. He hits Sanu, and he kind of has to dive back for it. But just how the loopy release and then the trajectory of the ball, it was just like, God, this going to need some work. And I think Kyle, if he was sitting here with me and you, having some beers, he'd be like, bro, this guy's a project. And I'd be like, okay, I'm fine with that, but he doesn't have anything. Are you guys coaching him up in practice, or are you just in this mode of game? He's your backup quarterback, one. And two, you have this history of your starting quarterback who's hurt again. Are you guys working on some of this shit? Like, are you? Because I think everyone would be like, Middlekauff, of course. No, that is not true. Because you get in this mode, coaches spend the first 2 days, Monday, Tuesday, film room, by themselves, all dark for fucking 40 hours in 2 days. They don't do any interacting beside with themselves, and then they just implement game plan. The development in the pros, sneaky doesn't happen as much as you think. I think a lot of the development happens with young guys when they're playing, and then you coach them up, on film review and stuff, and then you kind of work on those techniques as you are implementing the game plan. But when you're not playing and a true backup, and no one's a truer backup than a backup quarterback, because they do not play at all, right? Even if I'm Surefield, I still might get a couple reps on offense, and I get coached up on a couple things. He has not played a snap until that moment. A couple snaps, but nothing. He'd thrown one pass. So they might not be doing anything, as crazy as it sounds, besides some individual periods in practice to like truly improve this guy. That's a little
the player
crazy.
Development happens in the offseason, especially with quarterbacks. Like, that's why he spent all that time with John Beck and Quincy Avery, to get his footwork better and to get his motion better. His pro day, somebody commented in the YouTube that they thought his motion looked shorter in the pro day. Probably did. That was the focus then. Now the focus is getting ready to be the backup quarterback for a game. So what can you do? I don't think you can make his motion shorter by week 17. To me, that is
I know.
The solution to me is a few things. You have
that has to get fixed.
Well, you have to quicken to me, the way you kind of duct tape it is you give him fewer decisions to make, right?
Already duct taping to Trey Lance.
Well, no, I'm just saying, we talked about training wheels as an offense before the season. Like, training wheels means let's find one read, and if it's not there, maybe we just go.
Well, Kyle did it with RG3 once upon a time.
So instead of let's look and look and look, let's find one read, let's get out of the pocket. And as you're out of the pocket, you can look. If you see something else, go. Passes get batted down for two reasons. One, you're short. Two, it's coming, right? You can block it. It's easier to block a pass attempt if you have more time to react to the arm going back and the arm coming forward. So you're right. You can't fix that part of it right now. That's too much. I don't want him thinking about his motion as he's dropping back and Chandler Jones is coming off the edge. But I do give him less things to think about then.
When you hit those 270-yard drives yesterday, were you thinking, or are you just letting it rip?
Well, you did say, "Give me Bryson," and I put that one on the access road.
It did look deep though, off the glove head.
My driver's broken. I think there's something rattling inside of it. But
time to upgrade.
Look, no doubt, he uncorked a big throw. What did Bobby Wagner do? Dive and break it up. He missed a couple balls high too, right? Kittle in the end zone got him hit by Adams. I think he missed. I think he missed Debo high along the right numbers.
Like, I just don't give him credit for the Debo touchdown. It was wide open, blown coverage.
Yeah, I would look at that like wins above replacement, right? Your zero war player makes that throw.
Yeah, and clearly he was terrified to screw it up, so he just lobbed it right there, which I don't blame him. Derek Carr does that sometimes too. You just got to complete it.
It's about easy.
You don't get credit for a 75-yard touchdown on that one. No. You just don't. Not in the NFL.
It's about easy decisions. And I thought as the game went on, like a few people have said, he looked better as the game went on. Like,
they were down a couple touchdowns. It was garbage time.
They got him some quick throws to use check. Like, I expect more use check. I hope, right, this would be a game, I think, where you would get more Kittle if Kittle doesn't have to stand and protect this week. But I think that'll be, and Kittle's not 100%.
Well, and I think Trent Williams, they avoided disaster clearly because he's like day to day. It's not like a devastating shoulder injury.
Yeah.
So even if Trent Williams, like, let's say you justify, hey, we're going to give him this week off, play the backup tackle, get to the bye week, basically give him 2 weeks. Can we somehow pull an upset here and get some guys healthy in a couple weeks? Like, I don't think that's the craziest move. Now, if Trey Lance is starting, no Trent Williams, but it's like it's a lot of dominoes. But it's the same conversation now. You got to find a way. I understand with Jimmy, he can only do so much. This guy does have other things to the table. He can run. Have some like sprint out plays. Have some plays where he'll just run the option. Implement some plays that he just ran in college that are just basic shit. You just go back to simple. And I'm not being critical. Like, Kyle can do that. He's done it before. But I do think it goes back to Kyle though a little bit. He's just so obsessed with like every week. There is a balance to it, and I do think it's harder when you're younger. And in a weird way, besides, he hasn't really proven anything.
But I will say, in some ways, playing a young quarterback can force you to be different than you are.
That's what I'm saying. And
he was forced with RG3 just to find, because his mindset is let's win this week. So he was forced to change.
But clearly with Jimmy, they don't want to fuck with that right now. They're not quite in the mood with that one yet. Right? Trying to force Jimmy to still play, if that's what they're doing.
Oh, yeah. If you're saying they would rather just do the Jimmy thing than play a different offense with Trey Lance.
Yes.
Yeah. Which I get. I wouldn't want.
I at this point, with the way Jimmy's playing, I think that I might be out on that one.
I could understand. Again, I would play Trey. I could understand if they sit around going, I think Jimmy gives us a better chance to win. I could understand that. Now, our point is, he might give you a better chance, but is he going to win you enough games to make it worth it in the end? And I think the answer to that is no. Right? Like Jimmy might give you a better chance today, but is he going to stack? Is he actually take advantage of those chances, win that game, and then win 9 more of those games and put you in the playoffs?
But this goes back to what we talked about on Sunday night after the game. Let's say you start Trey. Let's just use a hypothetical. He starts the next 3 games, and you only win 1 of them. So you're 1 and you'd be 3-4 or something, right? Or, that's your record somewhere like that. You're under 500. But, and it's going to be really hard to make the playoffs at 3-4, 10 games left. We'd probably have to win 8 of them to have a shot. Go 8-3 down the stretch. What if getting him some lumps, having some ability to coach up, having a game off Arizona where you get the entire bye week to build off, now he has a game and a half, helps you in November and December. If you're a Bears fan right now, and this guy plays well against the Raiders, now he has 3 starts under his belt, and it's just shows they could lose, and be like, well, at least we'll just keep fucking stacking games with Fields.
Yeah.
And there is no he got to stack a half, clearly a lot to work on, and then he doesn't get to play for maybe another month when you're 3-7 and you're out of the playoff mix. You're like, fuck it, we just let him play the last 7 games. That's what it feels like. What's going to happen?
The way I would put it is, where's this going? Where's this going? Where's this ending? This is ending with Trey Lance playing. That's what I think, right? I think it's ending. Even if you went with Jimmy Garoppolo this week and then you went with him next week, where are we in 5 weeks? I think Trey Lance is playing because I don't think it's good. I don't think you're going to win enough games the other way. And so the question is, can they see that? Is that right? And B, can they see that and go, you know what? It may not be better today, but it's going to be better in 3 weeks and 5 weeks and 8 weeks and 10 weeks and 12 weeks because of it.
I think it's really difficult for a coach who I think has his offensive coordinator hat on a little too much right now to go, what we just said about Trey, it was not good. And if I was him, I'd be like, I can't deal with that right now. So if you put his hat on, you're just like, well, Guy and John, you just told me it was terrible. We all saw it. We watched the film. It was. He is a major work in progress. And now you want me to start him? So it's you're constantly bad. And that's usually what an offensive coordinator would say. How many stories over our lifetime have we seen? The offensive coordinator was not on board with the plans. Because that's not the way he thinks. He's just trying to score points that week. It goes back to Kyle's mindset in the Super Bowl, which I always defend. Not the Chiefs Super Bowl, but a Super Bowl where he was the assistant coach. Dan Quinn, if you just said, hey, remember when the Falcons blew the Super Bowl? I think most people would be like, yeah, remember Kyle Shanahan blew it? He's the head fucking coach. No, I think Dan Quinn gets the biggest pass ever. Kyle was a coordinator. He had 1 goal, score points, and that's what he was trying to do. Dan Quinn at any moment could have gone, dude, Kyle, let's get 3 runs here.
Yeah, right? Except that's not how Dan operated, right? He let Kyle. Kyle was in charge of clock management.
I know, but when you're a head coach, you can at least say, hey, Kyle,
totally.
we got a 15-point lead right now. They're kind of coming back. Let's take a deep
breath. If
Devontae
Freeman picks up a blitz, it's a touchdown to Julio and it's a blowout Super Bowl win. But
I know, but I'm just saying, I think sometimes it gets very, very difficult. I have nothing but respect. I can't even imagine how hard it is to be the coordinator and the head coach at the same time. And if you look at it the 2 best, I think, that are viewed right now in the league are Peyton and Andy. They've been doing it for so long. I do think Kyle's trying to figure this out a little bit as he goes now with this new quarterback situation. He's never since he's been here and Jimmy really got established as the starter, like he's never really been in this spot. Like how many go, especially Andy. Andy's dealt so many young quarterbacks, guys that had it, guys that didn't. Kevin Cobb to Mahomes to having bridge guys like Alex who are better. Like you just have a lot of things to go back on where Kyle just has the one RG3 experience. And we keep saying to implement an offense like that for Trey because that's probably the move. But he'd tell you, I fucking hate RG3. So
also,
it's like it brings up the heebie-jeebies to him.
Let's read a few of the YouTube comments here on this because we want to get all perspectives. Mike Carnahan, full name on the internet, Mike, says hard to compare Lance to RG3. It was a different league then. NFL coaches are more equipped now versus running quarterbacks. It has been interesting the times we've seen Trey run that
and I don't mean like I'm just using like you just have to change your offense. Obviously, he's a much different player than RG3 because RG3 was a track star. This guy is not.
Yeah, but I think his point, and I think it's well made. Every time you've seen Trey come into the game and they've gone to some run plays, it's not been like there hasn't been a second of feeling like the defenses don't know what to do. Like, yeah, they know. And except now the difference is they don't have to spend 4 days on it at practice, spend 10 minutes. And every guy in that defense did it in college. Every guy in that defense in the NFL now played against this in college, right?
Yeah.
Every guy. Every single one of them.
But also when Trey takes off, and we've been saying this, he is not Lamar and he is not Kyler. It's not like whoop, 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 whoop.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, what's the thing? Like, you put the defense in conflict. Well, they've been in conflict now every game they've played. They understand what it looks like.
But I'd also push back a little bit. Like the most, Brady's somewhat of an outlier. A lot of quarterbacks that have movement skills, like even Sam Darnold. Did you see his touchdown where they ran the option? He cut it back. Like you can.
Which one? He ran 2.
Yeah, you can have like I want my quarterback. To me, his mobility is more Darnold-y, right? It's more Deshaun Watson-y. It's more, even I kind of always be like, Russell's not as fast as he was. Rewatching that second half when he took off, I'm like, God damn, he can still fucking run.
He's got these little steps that are just.
Well, Kinlaw had he couldn't pick up his knees. He's chasing them. And Kinlaw's
reality
probably
is Kinlaw catches 99% of the population. 99.99. All right, Sir Elderly says, quit playing the narrative that Trey's final drive was garbage time. Seattle rushed 4 and still played with a spy and changed single too high on defense.
So, Guy, when you're up 14 points with 2 or 3 minutes, the whole fourth quarter to me looked like a garbage time game. Never once in my mind I think, the Niners are even getting close to win this game. It was a garbage time fourth quarter.
I thought what happened as the game went on, they got the ball out, like I think late in the game was a couple of those use check throws. I did think he looked better in terms of just getting out of the pocket instead of staying in the pocket and looking at which I love a guy that'll stay in the pocket and look to make a play, but I thought he vacated the bowels of the pocket faster. So I did think he looked maybe a little more comfortable as the game went on. I think that's fair because he looked really uncomfortable early.
Which is to be expected. Young guy,
Again, this is the argument that we are arguing to play him.
Well, because the only way to improve those nerves and just feeling more comfortable is to play more. What happened as the weeks went on? Last week in the Thursday night game, we're like, oh, Trevor Lawrence starting to look like Trevor Lawrence. Oh, did you see the sweet pass Zach Wilson had? Oh, Justin Fields, week 2, looked much better than he did the first week. Fucking, we're all humans. We improve the more we play. Oh, Mac Jones, most comfortable game, even though his stats are actually pretty terrible. Like, they're not scoring many points. He is not pushing the ball downfield. But, he just gets better. You get better in football by playing. I think this carries over to every single job. The more you do something, the more comfortable. The first day you walk into any job for the first time, that butterfly feeling? You're just like, God, this is... I remember going to Fresno State, going to the Eagles, going to a radio job. Like, the first time you actually have a new job, you're like, this is a new feeling. A year in, you're just like fucking shirt untucked. You're like peanut butter on your face. You're finishing walking in. You don't even think about it, right? Because you're just in the mode. You're just there to grind. You're there to work. And it speaks for quarterback. Like Tom Brady, obviously you're locked in. You try hard every week, but your comfort showing up to work every week gets infinitely more comfortable in an uncomfortable environment.